You're listening to Your Rivers Are Wrong, the podcast.
Good morning, or evening, or afternoon, whenever you may be. Welcome back to the Your Rivers Are Wrong podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Dante.
And I am the other host. My name is Marilyn.
And we're here as we are every week to talk about the wonderful whimsies of world building, the arts and aesthetics of setting up a setting and telling stories born from it.
That's right.
We're closing in on the end of the season. This is episode 59.
Wow.
Out of 60. Next episode is fan prompts, and we're off for the summer.
That's so fast. I can't believe it.
Yeah. The weather's really, I know it's kind of taboo to kick off a conversation about the weather.
So how's the weather over there?
But the cold days are gone.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
The pollen is dropping.
That
The
sweet hay
clouds are
fever's in the air.
April showers in the back.
Woo-hoo.
In the rearview mirror. Summer's on its way, and I'm pumped, and we're chilling. It's going to be such a good week.
Yes. Also, whenever we talk about the weather, I am reminded that we in fact do live in the same world. You're just real fucking far, which I like. Because sometimes it's a different universe, you know, when I only see you in pixels. So that's great.
This might be the only time of year where our weather's kind of similar.
Kind of align, yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like it has happened before that we would have like a bunch of rain and then it would like a week or so later you would have a bunch of rain or the other way around. I'm not sure. But that's the only like synchronicity that happens ever.
The cloud spends a week traveling over the Atlantic Ocean.
I don't know, something like that. Yeah. Is that how weather works? Sure.
Who knows? If episode 59 happens to be the first episode you listen to, I live in New York.
Yeah, I don't.
Marilyn lives in Holland. And every now and then we both have good weather, and it's the start of a good podcast episode.
I love how you're in a city and I'm in an entire country.
I mean, I feel like if
no
I
one
say
knows Dutch cities, I understand. It's okay.
You can be more specific. I'll leave that on you.
I don't need to. I mean, Holland is so small, but it's just funny to me.
I don't have too much to talk about of this past week, but I have something happening today that I wanna tell the podcast.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty funny. I have to pick up a TV from one of my college friends because they're selling me a TV or a monitor screen, I suppose.
Sure.
They're selling me a monitor screen, and I have to figure out how to get it home because I'm coming right out of work. I don't have a car to take it in.
Is it a big one?
Yeah, it's like, well, this doesn't help at all because the webcam is as wide as you want it to be. But I'm putting my hands out to the left and right to show you that it's about 27, 28 inches. It's not the biggest screen, but it's also big enough to be suspicious.
But yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
So I got to haul it onto a subway and then like a bus. And it's just like, will there be room? Will the bus driver hate me for filling up a seat with a TV, or will I have to like hug it on my way home?
And also you're off, it's like peak hours probably, right? When you're off work?
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. I'm going to be that guy. This is a big old packet.
Nice. At least it fits under your arm though, kind of, right?
That's true.
Okay.
True. I kind of want to hide it in like a bag or something, but I'm going to have like this big
How is
rectangle
that not
trash
suspicious?
bag.
Yeah, that's maybe worse.
Right?
I'm not sure.
I don't have a carrying case big enough for a whole monitor.
It would have to be like a trash bag, which is worse. I think that's
exactly.
worse.
I'm going to bring a rectangle trash bag, and I'm going to be pulled over by all the officers to be like, hey, this kid is transporting something that's definitely illegal.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. That sounds like a ride already.
Yeah, I'll tell you how it goes once I've got it. I'll give you the up to date.
Yeah, let me know if you got it home at all.
But yeah, otherwise, coming off a 3-day weekend, we had Memorial Day.
So
which is
good.
A federal holiday, very cozy.
So
very
lovely.
cozy.
I never know what it means because I'm not, I guess, Christian enough to really understand all the holidays, but all our holidays are Christian based, I guess. Because Holland used to be like more hardcore Christian than it is now, I guess. So we have a bunch of like free like days off that I'm not entirely sure they mean, but I'm very glad they are there.
Got it.
So nice. Yeah.
Well, we just had Memorial Day, which is like an Army veteran sort of celebration day.
Oh, wait, is that different than what we have? Was it like this past Monday?
Do you have a Memorial Day?
When's your?
Yeah, this past Monday.
Oh, so with us it's Pentecost is I think the translation. Does that mean anything to you? I think it's a Christian thing.
Okay.
Wait.
Pentecost is a totally different thing from Memorial Day.
Yeah. No, I got that, but I realized as you were explaining that, I thought we would have the same holiday. Okay, that's so weird. Wow.
Wait, did you have a holiday off yesterday? Like literally?
Yeah, my Monday was free as well.
Wow, look at that.
And it was because of second day of Pentecost, which is...
That's crazy. Funny how that lines up.
Yeah, interesting.
So, Memorial Day is for veterans who have taken part in the war, and we kind of celebrate and remember them. Pentecost is... I'm taking else from my learning.
Yes,
Pentecost
please
is the day the Holy Spirit descended on the 12 disciples to give them the ability to speak to anybody.
Oh, okay.
It's a religious thing. It's from the Bible.
Yeah, that's as far as I got.
But yeah, sometimes there's holidays that I have no idea where they're from. How'd your week go? You said you had a great week.
I had a great week. Great weekend, mostly. I mean, week as well. But so we had a bunch of days off, which is today. And also, like, in the past weeks, there's been so many days off, honestly. Also, like, Ascension Day. Is that another thing that that you know? That's also a Christian thing, which I know a teeny bit more about.
I'm guessing that's when Jesus went to heaven.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't know for sure, but it sounds like it would fit the bill.
Sounds like that's what happened there. Which was also 2 days off, like a Thursday and then the Friday we automatically have off. And I'm finally off a bunch of stuff, like the big thing that I did with Cherry. I forgot what the English word is. How do you say it? Like application? Yeah. Which we had to like send in like a week ago or something. So I have so much free time and the weather is nice. And I finally had time to travel back and forth to family again. And it was like a mini holiday and the weather was good. Everything was great. It was good.
Sounds like a killer break.
That's about right. Also, I did when I went back, I felt like energized to change up my room. And now I feel like I've like discovered like a holy grail, even though it's literally just like figuring out my cabinets in a different way. And it's so satisfying. Do you ever have this when you move a bunch of furniture and it feels like a new room? That's what's happening right now. And it's great.
That's fantastic.
Also, my room is very small for the uninitiated. So whenever I move anything, like my entire like living space, eating space, sleeping space, like everything changes. Which is great.
It's got a really nice vertical space, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I dig. Your room is super cool.
Yeah, I have like a sort of built-in platform bed situation going on. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good stuff. Good things happening. Frees up mind space. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it before on the podcast, but basically you can tell my state of mind depending on how clean my room is. And it's usually a good indicator of how deep I am into a project. Because
that's relatable.
In my head, it's like, first thing, step one, finish project. And it's a big old ambiguous block, right?
Yeah.
And there's a tiny sliver beneath it that's like 10 minutes to clean room.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen until the project's over.
And if the project's bigger and it needs more minutes, then there's no cleaning happening. Yep.
So, yeah, this weekend I took the opportunity to not finish my project and instead clean my room. And it's better. Not clean,
there you go.
Better.
It looks super organized over there. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. With that said, how about we jump into the topic of today's podcast?
I'd love to.
Every week we come with a new topic related to world building and or storytelling, and we end every episode with a prompt. But today, I kind of wanted to call back on a topic we've touched upon at least 3 or 4 times.
Oh, we're doing a throwback? Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually connecting this to multiple different episodes. Episode 14, Flight.
Oh.
We're going to call back to episode 27, Big Cities. Episode 30, Airships. Episode 34, No Man's Lands. And episode 49, which did something that I thought was really, really cool that I wanted to bring back as the episode before the last episode, like what's the word for that? Penultimate episode of the season, where we don't really talk about a topic, but just try to like test our world building. Episode 49 was when we built the city on top of the water, so to speak.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm feeling some themes going on here. Yeah.
If you couldn't read the energy that I'm bringing. Today, we're going to try to build a flying city.
Yes.
That's the goal.
Yes. I love this. This is great.
History, context, architecture, people, and potential futures. And then whatever the prompt is will take place within the city we've built.
Amazing.
How's that sound?
This sounds great. I love it. Changing things up here.
So Flying cities or flying things in general is one of our favorite themes on this podcast.
Just anything flying.
Right,
I mean, it's
right
true.
behind pirates, and academia.
Pretty
Number
close.
3
Yeah.
is flying things.
We're circling back. Yeah.
So I want to start this off by talking about the context of the city that we're going to try to build. Question 1, how is it flying? Let's put that on paper.
Oh, or like right in there. Okay.
Yeah, we got to talk about how this place exists in the first place. Is this a place that flies simply because that's how the world works? Things fly and float and gravity is funny that way?
Because flying is a natural thing. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, or is it the exception to the rule and is the only flying city or one of the few?
Okay. So immediately, and I think I'm a little bit like influenced by your fan on the ceiling there that I can see spinning around in the back.
Oh no, that's going to show up in the audio. Hold up. Let me turn
What?
that off.
Oh, wait. No. Okay.
Okay.
Do it.
Wait. Finish your thought. I'm going to be
Pretend
in my
like it's-
webcam
Yeah.
crawling to the back of the room to turn off the fan. Okay.
So stupid.
The audience won't see this.
Sure.
I won't be embarrassed at all.
It's not happening. It's not real. Okay.
All right. Talk to the audience for like a minute as
You
I
can still hear me, yeah? Okay.
I'm going to take off my headphones. You're going to keep
Oh
talking.
my god.
I'm going
is
to go
awful.
from there. All right, go.
Okay. Stupid. I was supposed to act normal when the dot is in the background. Okay. So, influence from Dante's beautiful fan spinning in the background. I think this city needs to be flying with the greatest effort possible.
Don't laugh. We're recording. Professional.
What are you doing?
Professional.
No, I refuse.
I have no idea what
This
this
is
is
so
going to sound like in post. I don't know what you're saying right now. You got to calm down.
Oh no.
You got to
No.
calm down.
No, I'm refusing.
This is a professional workplace. We got to
This is not a
take
professional
this
workplace.
seriously.
You're literally like fucking around in the background. Oh my god.
We're not cutting any of this out. This is all making
What
it
do
to
you
live.
mean? This is awful. Oh my god, I'm supposed to be like talking normal now. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
That was awful. Okay. You're gonna laugh so hard after we
All
edit
right.
this.
Well, the fan's off. There's definitely going to be droning going on in the audio, and it's going to be a nightmare to edit. But feel free to continue where you left off. 'Cause
I don't know if
missed
I
all
left
that.
off anywhere. I think I just sort of derailed into laughter halfway. Okay. Let me. God, fuck. Focus. We're professionals. We're professionals. Yeah. Okay. This is not helping at all. Okay, what I was saying before things went crazy. Inspired by your fan spinning in the background, still kind of spinning, just a little bit. I think immediately my brain went to flying being the hardest thing in the world. I want this to be basically impossible. So a flying city is super cool because it's basically impossible.
Got it.
I love that stuff. So I feel like there's so much like mechanisms or machinery or rare ingredients or whatever necessary to even make this possible. And I think that's great because then the whole thing is going to be so arrogant, right? The whole thing is just a sort of thing of pride or a thing of like show off that it's possible, that it's capable. So living there is not comfortable. It's confusing. Everyone's constantly trying to make sure that the city's not falling, you know? And that's kind of
Sure.
it. I feel like I like that dynamic.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of Aor from EXU Calamity energy. From this,
Oh, I guess so.
where it's like-
yeah, I guess I kind of went that way. But we can
Yeah,
still
where
do
it's-
it differently, right? Like, because I think for the uninitiated, I think Aor was more, well, was it based on machinery? No, it was more like broomstone, right? Like a flying
It
sort
was
of
very
component.
magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's other ways that flying can be hard. Like, it can also be like the rarest ingredient in the world that's necessary for a certain spell to keep it up. Or, yeah, I don't know. Or just literally as much like air force power, I don't know, like up style, right? Like if you just have as many balloons as possible, eventually your house will fly, you know, kind of like that.
As many balloons as possible.
I wouldn't recommend it for, you know, city life, but I don't know.
You know what?
It worked it up.
That sounds ridiculous enough that I want to cling on to it.
Okay. Oh, God.
This
Sure.
city, somehow, some way, is going to be powered by the lifting power of balloons.
Sure.
Which is crazy, because if you think about a blimp and how big a balloon has to be to carry that little tiny
Yeah.
fuselage.
Yeah, this is like out of proportion amount of balloons. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I feel like if we're going to go this route and we want this to be like a look or like an aesthetic where our cloud is not blocking out the sun with how big it is.
Oh, yeah, probably.
I'm thinking they find something that's not helium.
That's definitely what's happening. Yeah.
Something like a rarer gas, so to speak.
Oh, the power is a rare gas? That sounds like the hardest thing in the world. Okay, that's great. I love that. What does that even mean, a rare gas? How do you keep it? I don't know enough about
apparently in balloons
to understand this.
Apparently you hold it in balloons.
Yeah, sure. It's real now.
So, yes, an element so impossibly light that it can create lift by simply being that much lighter than air. There has to be something notably almost arcane about how powerful its lift is.
Yeah.
Are you imagining these balloons as like a ring around the city or like one big balloon? Or like a bundle of balloons in the center?
I feel like there's no way to make this even aesthetic, right? Like there's no room for making a pattern at all. There's just so many of them. I think it depends on if this was a very like planned city or if this was a thing that happened in small scale and then it grew bigger, so there were more balloons needed and then there were more balloons needed, et cetera, et cetera. And then, if it's an organically growing thing, I feel like it will just be kind of like up where it's just a whole bunch of balloons in the sky and then sort of clunky additions to the city, so slowly growing bigger as, like that. But if it's a super planned, almost like an army thing or something, if it's like a giant vehicle, right? That's kind of a different feel. Instead of like European style, like we slowly add to the city random little pathways everywhere, you know what I mean? Then it feels different. So if it's a giant vehicle, then it could also be one giant balloon that's slowly filled with all the gas that they keep finding. And then, it can be different like that. Or it can be a sort of, circular thing or like more like a parachute style. I'm not sure. But I kind of like the clunky version of this because then it's so arrogant, but then the look is so clunky. I think that's kind of interesting. But then I'm immediately already wondering, like, how did it start, right? Like, what's the first version of this then, if it's building out over time? What's the first months of this thing flying look like, right?
My initial impression of what could be an interesting story is that a very small group of people had the intent to fly, right? And they used... They found this gas, they decided to use it to fill the balloon. And when they finally pulled the trigger and decided to lift their little base out into the air, they took a lot more than they expected. It's like they took their base and the land around it.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it's like a lot of people almost involuntarily
suddenly happened to be there. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
And
okay, interesting.
And once in the skies, and somehow like the math all works out that they don't fly infinitely into the outer space, but they simply level out and begin to hover in the air.
Yeah, at some point the gas is like not light enough to move to the next layer of air or something. Yeah.
There is no landing plan that looks like anything but instant death.
Yeah. Landing is not an option.
There's
Great.
like a few, however this math worked out, there's like a few hundred people who have no choice but to make this work.
Cool. Yeah.
And it's just a hodgepodge group of people, maybe a couple exceptional talents or minds in there, but like not a people built to begin living in the sky. And their efforts since then have been one, building parachutes for the people who really don't want to be here. And two, the people who like are really suddenly invested in this idea, realizing this is a very rare opportunity and decide to make this some sort of living space. I want to say like they have the tech, they have the knowledge. It's just a matter of piecing it together in the sky and like making it a real thing.
Oh, okay. So, this is like a DIY thing now. Also, can I add to this origin story a little bit?
Of course.
I think it started with like two guys or something, or two people, and one of them finally figured it out in like a night and then was so impatient that they immediately tried the first sort of experiment. And as they were holding the first balloon with a super rare light gas, they sort of trailed into the air and were never seen again. And then the second guy comes in and realizes that his partner, his, partner in crime, the one other person that's super passionate about turning something into a flying vehicle or a flying city has either failed or succeeded, but at least is not here anymore, including the experiment, 001. And in an attempt to sort of figure out what it was and to sort of rereading their notes and stuff, I think it's an act of either saving them or proving that it was possible and that this guy's not dead, but somewhere flying still. And before you know it, the whole land is with you, also on this quest now, and you have to figure out what that means.
That'd be really fun. You know what? Let's build out the world a little bit. I'm actually starting to imagine that the reason people decided to start taking this seriously once they were in the sky was that there was like a whole nother layer of world just beyond the clouds. And it's like places to see and maybe even civilizations. Like there's a second world above the world that is just barely out of sight.
Okay.
Once those people get up there, they're like, oh, wait a sec. This is more than just empty sky. There's like things to learn here. I do want to say that anyone still on the airship city, whatever, the balloon city, we haven't named. We'll name it at the end. Name it at the end. Whoever's still on this balloon city has not yet touched back down to Earth.
Yeah.
For one reason or another. Like there's no way to
There's no way to land, right?
Yeah,
we're still having we're barely making sure that we're still like hanging out here. So
yeah. So that's why I'm imagining there's a whole nother layer of world, like just above the clouds, and a whole nother world of things to interact with and experience. And they are very much ramshackle, accidentally found this place. And everybody in this new world is like, wait a sec, you guys shouldn't be here.
Why are you here?
You should know about this. How did you wait a second.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
And this is where guy number 2 figures guy number 1 disappeared. Like he's got to be somewhere in this strange place.
Yes, I like this.
With that in mind, let's talk about daily life. What the heck do people do while on this balloon city?
Oh my god, good question. I think the main thing, like everybody's job right away, is to keep it flying and not die from falling out of it, right? Or it falling out of the sky, I should say. And also, I was wondering, does this gas run out? Like, how is there a problem of flying if they're just hanging out? There should be a sort of time limit or a sort of material limit to this, because there's no real danger of falling out of the sky if they're just sort of satelliting it out, right? If they're just in the orbit and just hanging around in this air layer that we're talking about. And also I'm thinking, if there's no stakes to either staying on this thing or letting this thing stay afloat at all, people will just move back down. And if they know it's up there, they can have, similar to the first guy that disappeared, they can have like a sort of one person version of this and just travel back and forth, and that's it. Right? And I think that's not what we want. Like, it needs to be serious enough that you're either here or you're out forever, kind of.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I think maybe, this gas is usually found in complete, I'm spitballing here. This gas is usually found in complete darkness, and in reaction to light, it slowly sort of, what's that called?
Riddles?
Like evaporates or something. Yeah, like fades away over time or becomes less powerful. So you need more and more gas to keep it up. But then, as soon as you keep the gas in connection with or in touch with the light, then it slowly fades away or something. I don't know.
Well, maybe there's like pockets of this gas somewhere in the sky world sort of situation. So you got to fly to certain spaces to refill the balloon.
It'd say, how much time do we have left yet? We have to find the pockets within this area, or
a gas pocket.
Yes.
Well, we know what we could make. We could
gas
make it look like a very
that's gross.
gas pocket. Let's travel to the gas pocket. we'll
I don't start when I think of that. Yeah.
And I want to make it so that these gas pockets look very specifically like a weird sort of cloud.
Sure.
It's like you can spot it from miles away.
Yeah, it's a sort of anchor point kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm imagining like a weird, twisty, almost top-shaped cloud. It's like a little tornado flying on its own.
Yeah, okay.
And you got to get there and like harvest gas with your giant balloons and then get out before it like sucks you in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it's like dangerous to harvest.
That's kind of cool, yeah.
And then we got like, while you're up here, obviously you got all these woodwind instruments playing in the background.
Obviously,
if we're going to score this thing,
Very important, yeah. Also, there's definitely, by the way, side note, there's definitely cultures that like worship these gas tornado thingies, so that absolutely hate you when you go fucking around in it. And you'll have like an entire culture against you now and stuff. I think that's great.
Yeah, I think there would definitely be people on the upper clouds that view these tornadoes as creatures of some sort,
Yeah, like holy spirits of one or another kind. Yeah.
So like your balloons harvesting that gas is like treasonous.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then you have to like first like risk your life to harvest these things, and then you have to haul ass to make sure like the people don't kill you for doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds fun.
I mean, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's this guy at the very top who's like, this is all for the sake of progress and learning, and this is beyond anything any man has ever done. Where in the background of his mind, he's just like, I'm looking for my friend.
Yeah.
I got to keep up this charade.
Yep, that's what it
To
is.
find this guy. What do they do for food? We should figure that out.
Good question. God, I don't know. Birds? Are birds in this area? Or are they like in the lower region still? Like, how high up is this even? I feel like it's like pretty high up because this is like a second world that no one knows about. So it shouldn't even be visible. Like, there should be enough air in between that it's kind of important or impossible to see.
Yeah, it's
If at
like
all.
just beyond, like an invisible layer of clouds that, like, refracts light or something, so
Right.
people from below can't see it, something along those.
So
That's not a must.
Here's a follow-up question, I guess, to better understand this. How
Mm-hmm.
solid is this second world? Is this, because it's not like a second layer of Earth. That makes no sense to me in my brain. If it's all like basically as light as this gas, because that's what we're saying, right? Because they use this specific gas, the gas travels up to similar regions. So what does this even look like, right? It's not like Earth where you just walk on a plane that's pretty heavy, right? Is there gravity here? I'm not sure. I guess so, because otherwise they fall, but then maybe a lot of it is based on the similar gas, or I don't know, everyone has flying, like everyone's a bird here. I don't know, could be.
So the way I'm visualizing it is that because we're going on this energy that the entire layer is unseen, I imagine that there's entire massive platforms that exist here.
Ah, okay.
That have been like maybe arcanely contained or some sort of divinity,
like
or
a
some
net
sort of
kind of
technology.
structure of sorts.
Yeah, and there's like an invisible layer of floor. It's like walking on top of a surface of a lake.
Sure. Yeah.
And things are built on top of that. There's like this faint shimmer sort of light refraction that symbolizes that this is a platform that people live upon and have used for stabilization.
Oh, that's
and,
pretty cool. Yeah.
I
can imagine it's more like, okay, so I'm a sucker for magnets, so I'm definitely gonna put it in there. What if it's more like a thing that attracts its sort of negative counterpart? So if you wear a specific suit, you can sort of clank back and forth to it. Or if you have a sort of, I don't know, if you washed your hands with a specific kind of liquid, then you can sort of travel your way back and forth through this or something. So you don't need gravity necessarily, even though it's there, but you can still connect to this without like needing literal feet or ladders or buildings or stuff.
So like worlds and or like cities or civilizations are anchored to like magnets, where it's like there's like this core.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be like
structure that
literal magnets, but a sort of connection that sort of clunks you to this surface that is there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Magnets are basically magic anyway.
I guess so, yeah. Who really knows how they work, right?
Well, listen, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. We just make up everything in this world anyway. It doesn't.
Oh my god!
What? It doesn't have to make sense. So, like, I was just thinking about how you transport yourself, like how you go from one platform to the next.
Oh yeah.
And I figured, like, just negative propulsion from magnetism. You just
guess it's
bounce
solved.
yourself up there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you have like a little glider to make sure you land somewhere.
Yes.
Proper.
Gliders everywhere. I approve of this.
Cool.
Okay.
And we'll do this because I want to place this a little bit ahead in time. How do people get around? What's their main form of transportation in the city?
Oh, within the balloon city. Okay. I mean, it's still a chunk of Earth, right? That's the whole deal.
Yes.
Like, it's very out of place here.
It's very out of place here.
If there's like a lot of time passing by now, which I assume it is, they kind of figured out their, routine, I guess, here up in the air. I would say it's a weird mix of like super local, old school Earth style, roads and buildings and shit, and then also having either stolen or, I don't know, figured out some of this magnetism going on, like in parts, but it's not strong enough to like move an entire chunk of Earth, obviously. Otherwise, they wouldn't have this gas problem. But there might be like, I don't know, maybe one of them found like a specific like attribute or a specific helmet or something from another local or during a fight with one of these cultures that hated them. So they have some means of like figuring out their position or their, movement in the sort of natural parts of this second world. But on the chunk of Earth itself, it's like super old school. And I think they just have roads and stuff. And it's very strange because, of course, it's super out of place.
You know what I'm thinking, which is an aesthetic I love? What would separate them from the people that live up here is if the people on the balloon city took all the electronics that can no longer function now that they're not rooted to the ground. So like bikes, like cars, with no gas, telephone wires, anything that uses Wi-Fi, basically, like vending machines that have run out of food. They take that and they turn that into like their new tech. Like they repurpose it. So there's like this junk punk aesthetic going on where
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
All their tech is resourced and recycled from tech that no longer works. So it's like there's this old, dirty, trashy feeling to everything they use, which is vividly different from everybody who already normally lives up here. But they somehow make it work through ingenuity and using a little bit of
and this also ties into the DIY stuff that we're talking about. Like somehow they became a city, and now whatever is on this chunk of earth that's somehow they still have access to, they need to use. Otherwise, you have to find it elsewhere, and there's not a lot of like relatable stuff up here to, you know, our humble earthly culture. That's very cool. Hey, we still also haven't answered the food question. If we still want to. I'm still not sure about the answer, honestly.
I mean, we could go the drifting dragon route and say that there are these massive monsters that they could like hunt down and eat. Yeah, we could go like giant birds and such. We could go that route.
It's kind of cool as well. Yeah.
Like in the same way that in Drifting Dragons, they had to go from place to place to like find monsters. Like there were sightings of monsters heading in this direction. So you kind of triangulate and meet them so that you can hunt them.
Yeah.
So you're like looking for flocks of birds, I suppose. A very specific variety that live on this layer that you could eat. It would have to like learn that from the locals.
I also think it's very cool if these birds or animals are very big. So once you finally caught one and you have food for like a month, it's very heavy. So if you want to bring it onto your chunk of earth, it's going to really like fuck around with the amount of gas you need. And you're going to really have to make sure that you can still fly in the air because you suddenly have a ton of like very heavy meat on your flying city right now.
There's like a whole side crew of characters that are devoted to understanding fuel and like wind speeds and traveling and making sure that like you can get to the food but also have enough fuel to stay up. And like, you know, making sure that plan all works out.
Yeah, that's the biggest engineering question of this whole thing, I think. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
With that city in mind, how about we hop over to our prompt?
Ooh, already time? Yep.
Yeah.
God, so, I could keep going forever. I love this stuff.
Which is why we got to stop, because I know we would. So here's the visual. And we're going to tap into a scene that I very much enjoyed in an earlier season. This is going to be a chase scene through the city.
I remember this one. I know which one you're going to say. This one's great.
Your character, the character you control, I'll be just the coppers, you know. The character you control is somewhere in their teens and has never known a world besides this one and navigates the city in a way only a native to the Balloon City would know how.
Oh, okay. Right.
So whether that be like tech they've developed themselves, slipping through alleyways in unprecedented ways, using the lift of air in strange and weird directions, they only know this world. So the normal laws of Earth's gravity and typical ways of running away, old mind stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Terraformer brain.
This is like a free running exercise, like a fantasy free run exercise. That's what it is. Yeah. I love it.
So if you need a building, if you need a landmark, just make it up and it exists.
Okay.
And they're going to use that. And I'm just going to follow you through the city and pressure you to move forward. How's that sound?
Sure. Okay. Oh, I like that. Yes.
Are you ready? I can kick it off.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. A shrill whistle fills the air as a number of heads turn towards two officers running at a breakneck speed down the street, chasing a very familiar face to the local militia here. A kid who just doesn't know when to quit. Could you please describe your character and what they're doing?
Okay.
Or rather, what they've done. You could even say that.
Oh, sure. Okay, so this is, as you were saying, famously known for their rambunctiousness and, I guess, lack of ever quitting. This is Tova. And Tova is like a scruffy little dude, like 14 or like maybe a little younger even. Like, he just doesn't really care enough or is not responsible enough yet to really understand that this is a serious thing and that he's like spending a lot of time for these officers all the time. He's got like dark hair and it's super in his face all the time, but it's very windy here, so it doesn't really matter. He wears this very cool, almost like rugby sort of suit thing going on that he found somewhere on a dump or stole from someone who I don't know who was still keeping it for maybe emotional reasons. And he looks very broad in it, so he thinks it's very cool. It's almost like a uniform, you know, like a street uniform. And he's running for his life. He's very like, what's the word? like frail, you know, like muscular, but not in a like big way.
Sure.
Like lean, I guess. Yeah. And he's running. He's running down the street for his life. You can see the shoes that he's wearing light up with every step that he has.
Nice,
but one of them is kind of like failing a little bit, like as if the light's almost broken, but he thinks they're just so cool, so he just keeps wearing them until like literally fall off his feet, and he's running for dear life. The people on the street, perhaps, or people that look out from their window triggered by the noise, look at Tova sprinting by. You see in his hand there is a little, it almost looks like a what does he have in his hand? Let me think. This is like a sort of very extravagant looking walkie-talkie. So this is like a communication device that obviously has the sign of the government on it.
Sure.
And as you see the officers sprinting by, one of them notoriously does not have anything in his hand, and the other one has the other walkie-talkie that Tova is very proud to now be the owner of, if he can keep out of their hands.
The police are running after. They have these blue and white uniforms to mimic the sky, of course. They have these like white frills along their shoulders to imitate the feathers of wings.
Oh, cool.
You're going to see one officer bark an order to another, and you'll see like the younger officer like fumble a little bit and pull out this massive baton-like thing, almost like a very wide bat. And he's going to grab it into his hands, spread it wide so it looks like a fan.
Oh, that's cool.
Like a massive,
really
like
cool.
half moon fan.
Yeah.
He does a quick step and a twirl and a spin and then pushes with wind towards the other officer. And you see like they open their arms. There's like this little wing pattern beneath their arms that like picks up on the wind, and they're propelled forward through the skies with like a giant moon-bound sort of situation. So one of the officers is coming towards Tova from the skies, descending gently with his very practiced aerial maneuver. He's like, halt, citizen, please come back. I really need that. Get back here, kid. As he's slowly descending in a really awkward, like kind of propeller-ish sort of way.
Yes, for sure. And Tova, in reaction to this, still desperately sprinting forwards, he can see sort of on the side of his periphery, the officer sort of moving into view, kind of, because he's obviously faster than Tova. Tova holds up his walkie-talkie, turns on the, what's it called? Like the, like triggers the button, and he says, "This is Tova for the government. Tova for the government. My mission is way too important to ever stop. I'll never make sure you get it." And then once he keeps sprinting, he sort of pushes his heels into the street, and his beautiful old school wheelie shoes carry him forward.
Amazing.
Yes, and he, just out of time, makes sure he sort of like bends off kind of from the pathway that the officer's leading into. I'm not sure if he has that much control over where he's going, the officer, I mean, so I think Tova's lucky in this time. Yeah. And Tova knows where he's going, by the way.
The officer just sails past. He's like, wait.
It's like parachuting. Like, yeah. Not yet skilled enough in this mode of transportation. Beautiful.
Of course.
Love it.
So I love you have light up shoes that are also Heelys.
Yes.
This is actually really
Maybe
cool.
this is even like a Tova made one. I think he found like two half pairs, and one of them, like the light was kind of broken, but he didn't really care. And then he sort of jumbled them together until it was kind of like one thing. Yeah.
Love
for
that.
For sure.
So the second officer is parasailing in the wrong direction.
Yes.
So you're going to see the first officer reach towards his belt, fire off a grappling hook, and grab onto the back of the second officer and tug him back towards the alleyway like a kite.
Love that.
So he's
beautiful.
pulling them. They meet in the middle. They swiftly run down this alleyway sort of situation. And they're like, where'd he go? And they look around, but they can see the light up sneakers in the far distance. So
betrayal.
It looks sick, but
yes, it's true.
Actually gives you away. So they're booking it down this hallway.
Yes.
And you can see like on their shoes, much more professional, there's like little jet boosters. And making their steps a little bit bigger, and they're bounding like off the walls, trying to keep up.
Yeah.
How does Tova escape this?
So Tova knows the one place that might not be known or might not be frequented as often by him versus the officers. So he's sprinting down, and I assume like he's still pretty fast. So, and also because of the hassle with the other officer going in the wrong way, I think Tova has a little bit of time here.
Of course.
And as the time passes by, he's crawling and creeping into more confusing little like hodgepodge alleyways and stuff. Yeah, they're starting to get like cracks in the asphalt, and the whole streets are missing. He can't even like wheelie his way down here. He's sort of jumping and like making it as efficient as possible. And as he approaches, he can feel like the officers getting closer and closer, still keeping up. He comes into a place where suddenly the asphalt almost seems to stop. And Tova is peering down over the edge, and he knows that it's almost time, just not quite. And he's looking over his shoulder to see if the officers are going to make it in time. And just before that, Tova grabs the back of his rugby thing that he has, but because it's so big, this is also like all his pockets, right? There's a bunch of shit in there. He's just too small for this giant rugby suit. So everything that he owns is basically in this suit.
Oh no.
I would say he grabs like a giant like trash bag from the side of one of his like rugby suit pockets, holds it up in the air, and just at a right moment, a giant force of wind comes through the entire city because the whole chunk of earth basically that the city is on, it has fallen away here. So every wind or every gas that can pass through here will get a giant sort of upward stream like motion because it has to go through a very relatively small hole. So this is almost like what's that called? Like a glacier? Like the water spits up, but then like the air version of this is like an air funnel almost. And as Tova, who's still, he's pretty small, he can be carried by large amounts of air like that. As Tova holds up the trash bag over there, he gets propelled up and just in time lets go of the trash bag and is able to move on top of the buildings now that are still here. This is like a suburb kind of feel.
Sick.
And hopes that the officers can't make it in time or have to really put more effort into it than he was doing, because he's been here before. He knows the stream very well and how it works and has played around in here many, many times, including whenever he's running from other people.
I think that's so cool. There's like a visual. I'm very much imagining this in like the Spider-Verse sort of visual aesthetic, like the
I'm not sure
animated Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, I've seen it, and I also have forgotten about it a little bit, even though it was very cool. Please,
it's a very like painterly style.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so I imagine he gets swept up.
Yeah, that's the feel.
And it's almost like Tova is like stepping onto an air road that continues upwards with his
kind of
bag.
Yeah. He's really making use of the winds that are sort of howling through here upward. Yeah.
And the officers just squeezing themselves through like the last crack and crevice.
This is like trying to follow a cat in a city. Yeah, where you're like, I can't walk there. What are you doing?
Yeah. First, Officer 1 tells Officer 2 as they look into the sky and see the multicolored shoes propelling upwards, like, follow him, go. And Officer 2's like, oh, I'm not trained for this, though. It's just like... But like the Officer 1 pulls out the fan and just launches him upwards. Yes. So you see Officer 2 flying and he's just tumbling through the air like a
beautiful,
like a plastic bag, a Katy Perry style, as he spins upwards. And you can see he's about to grab onto Tova's ankle, but as he does, he misses and whiffs and just starts tumbling back down. And he has to open his parasails as he says, "Curse you, Tova."
Yes,
he's like
beautiful.
falling back downward toward the earth.
And as Tova lands on one of the rooftops over here, a little bit off the side, he opens his walkie-talkie and he says, "Tova to government. My mission is too important. I told you wouldn't be able to handle this, and now you've fallen to your doom. I think this is proof enough." And he sprints out of there.
And as he disappears into kind of this higher layer of the city, the camera pans out and it shows you an entire separate section of the city that the officers often do not have access to. And this is where Tova calls home.
Hey,
beautiful.
Sick. Beautiful. Awesome. This was super fun. Oh my God.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's like a prompt within a prompt. It's so good.
Yeah. It's a prompt from a prompt.
Yeah.
Should we name the city before the end of the podcast?
Ooh. Do you have something in mind? We should name it.
No. I was thinking just a bunch of A's. Like, I don't know, just a whole bunch of A's in there. It's a very skyward letter, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like if I say something, I'm afraid it's going to mean something in a different language.
I mean, isn't that how we name all our fantasy cities? Like, look up some random word in Swahili and you're like, well, I guess that makes sense. That's what I do, at least. I bust it down. I also like something that ends with like Lonia or something.
Alonia?
Because it's like Balloonia, but like less stupid.
Balloonia.
No, let's not do that, but let's do something cooler.
Wait. Well, what if we just take off the B and now it's Alunia?
Alunia?
Alunia.
It's kind of nice because it's also like lunatic a little bit. Nice.
So there we go.
You heard it here first. It's happened. It's real now.
The birth of the skyward city, Alunia.
Gorgeous.
With that, that's the last of our normal episodes for episode.
Cue the ahs in the audience.
Oh, we have a button for that, right? The ah.
Oh, yeah.
Aw.
God, we really should like have a panel with like laugh tracks and stuff.
Should we?
I'm not sure.
Should is a
I talked it into
word.
the air and I'm like, maybe I regret this this comment.
Next time I'm going to press a laugh track button.
Oh no.
And I won't tell you. Next episode is fan prompts.
Yes.
Join us for 4 prompts submitted by listeners like you. You can check out a post on our Twitter, YRAW Podcast. Even if it's not in time for our recording, could be used for future episodes.
Yeah.
Also, find me on Wintry RPG on YouTube or our actual channel, Your Rivers Are Wrong, on YouTube. And somewhere in that little mix, we will have space where you can send in prompts that we can answer.
Yes. So. And if all else fails, we still have a Gmail.
Exactly.
yourriversarewrong@gmail.com. Find us anywhere. We'll check out all of those and make sure we find some beautiful prompts to discuss for next week. I'm very excited.
And with that said, as you continue to world build and storytell and source entire creations from your imagination, always remember this one simple thing that is almost certainly true in Alunia. It's got to be true in Alunia,
yes.
right?
Yes, it's true. Because we made it, so it is true in there.
It's true. Yep. It's true. In this wonderful world and all the worlds of yours as well, the one simple truth is this, that your rivers are wrong.
Yep. Sorry about that.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Rivers Are Wrong. If you have ideas for topics, prompts, or you just want to share your thoughts, please reach us at yourriversarewrong@gmail.com. That's yourriversarewrong@gmail.com. Also, a big thanks to Maarten Schellekens, who created the intro and outro music for our podcast. And most importantly, thank you for listening. We hope to see you at the next one. Bye.